Alrighty, first things first, good morning. Thank you for taking the time out of your Friday morning. A bit of a weird time to do one of these webinars. Made the mistake of originally scheduling it for Anzac Day tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything Anzac Day out of respect for the holiday. Yeah, this was the only available time I had left. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining in. If you're watching us live on Zoom, welcome. We've got a few new faces on board with us today. So hello to all of you guys. This is completely interactive. A lot of our regulars are on board with us today as well. So they all know the drill. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them up in the group chat. We can answer them as we go, or we'll save them to the end. It's completely up to you. We're also live in our Facebook VIP group, the ProFit VIP group. So if you're not part of that, feel free to shoot me a message. It's just Jason Gent, just up here, and I will add you into that. There's loads of cool stuff on that we don't necessarily give out to our regular group page, a regular fan page, including various discounts on supplements, workouts, etc. There's tons there. If you want in, you can shoot me a PM and I'll add you to that one. Again, if you found this on YouTube as a recording, again, thank you for taking the time. We are going to run through this as quickly as we can. I really appreciate everybody jumping on board and hanging out with us today. I don't want to take up too much of your day. So again, if you've got any questions, feel free to throw them at me. For all our new guys out there, a little bit about me, just so you know that I'm not just some weirdo sitting behind a computer screen. I've been in the fitness industry more than half my life now in one way, shape or form. Started way back in high school as most trainers do. Been everything, so from overweight, well, ridiculously overweight. I think I'm maxed at about 115 kilos. I've been underweight, I've been skinny fat, you name it, I've dealt with it. And this is just an accumulation of everything that we've learned, all the studies that we've read and participated in. What we're going to go through today is it's going to be a complete overload. I'm not going to lie to you. There's going to be tons of information here. How can I make that smaller? There's going to be tons of information here that you may not necessarily hold on to, and that's perfectly fine. I don't expect everybody to get it and nail it first time out. Cool. Again, I am a PT, a personal trainer. We're online coaching at the moment as well, obviously with COVID-19 around. Diplomas in nutrition, double diploma in nutrition. I can't even remember what they are now. It's been that long since I've done it. Nutritional therapies and whatever the other one is, sports and exercise nutrition. So yeah, I mean, I like to think I know my shit. There's the first swear word of the day right there. But yeah, no, like I said, guys, if you've got any questions, sing out. That's what I'm here for. Let's jump in. Let's go for it. So I've broken this one down into various sections here. We're going to start with goals and your vision. Click on that. Cool. So the first thing you need to do in order to get fit from home is to really understand your goals. And this is not just confined to the home space, but if you have a gym membership, when we go back to to normality, I guess, is to really understand your goals, what you actually want. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Is the W questions here: the what, where, when, why. And I haven't put a how in there at the moment because that's basically my job. I'm going to get to that in a second. So basically, your what. Who's beeping at me? Okay, cool. I've got my second screen here with our Facebook Live next to me. So that's what's yelling at me. Anyway, understanding your goals, what it is, what do you want, get specific with it. So I want to lose weight. Yeah, how much weight do you want to lose? Okay, where do you want to lose that weight? That's the next one down. Okay, let's put a time frame on it. When do you want to lose the weight by? Okay, I'll give you an example. I myself am currently 19 weeks out from getting on stage if the competitions go ahead. So that's my time frame. I've got 19 weeks to drop what will essentially be probably another 8 kilos. Sounds simple enough to do that, but then there's obviously the prepping times. It's not that full on for just general weight loss. So if you are looking at dropping those big kilos, you don't necessarily need 19, 20 weeks to drop 10 kilos. Okay. So there's your when, there's the first 3, and your why. The why is probably the most powerful thing that you can come up with here. And that's what I've got here. This is your why. So I've got this, it's just generic picture I've pulled up off Google about a vision board. Now, vision boards can make or break your journey. So it's not just fitness. A lot of CEOs still use these. I've got mine on my desktop. For those of you who train one-on-one with me, face-to-face, you would have seen my desktop, all the hypercars on my desktop. That's what I'm going for. That is my vision for the business, and my personal goal is to buy one of those. Okay, the same works for your fitness goals. Okay, so what I want you to do here is go out, Google. Maybe you've got a set personality or a person that you admire, or a certain body type that you admire. Type that into Google, just run through images, download them, stick them on a pin board, get obsessed. So really become obsessed is the right word here, because I want those photos everywhere. Every single thing that you do needs to come back around for this particular vision. Sounds cool. So when I say obsessed, I mean obsessed, not just on a cork board in the office, but I'm talking on your pillow, on the fridge, on the steering wheel of your car. You know, everywhere you look, I want to see these photos, and I want you to see these photos. Now, your why, we can go into a little bit more depth here. So I know there are some people out there dealing a lot with health issues. The example I like to give here is knees. It's quite a common occurrence. People, particularly people that are overweight, they do struggle with knee pain. And, you know, originally I just brushed this off as, you know, just harden up, right? And I'll be the first to admit that until you are at that weight where your knees are hurting, shut up. Okay. Because when I was at my heaviest, 110, 115K, I struggled. I struggled to tie my shoes. I struggled with my knees. So I get that now. Okay, so when people, you know, if you're working with a coach, you need to be honest with that coach and say, okay, my knees are hurting. Yeah, okay, cool. I believe you. That it's all about honesty, not only with you and your coach, but with yourself as well. Let's put that why behind your weight loss. Why do you want to lose weight? Let's say you've got 10 kilos to lose. Why do you want to drop 10 kilos? My knees are hurting. Okay, awesome. Not awesome your knees are hurting, but awesome that we've got a reason. Okay. The knees, if the knees are better, you've got no pain in the knees, what does that allow you to do? Okay, awesome. It's playing with the kids. It's you know, being able to relive a few memories from the past. Maybe mountain climbing or bushwalking or something like that. Something simple. Walking up a flight of stairs without knee pain. Maybe that was another thing that I came to terms with as well. He dropped the weight. I can actually get up a flight of stairs and, without huffing and puffing. In context, I'm currently sitting at about 93, 94K. So there you go. There's what, about 20 odd kilos down. On the flip side though, at my lightest, I was probably 72, 71. But the power of your why, and this is the point that I'm trying to make here, the power of your why can make or break everything. So don't just stop at, I want to lose weight. Put the passion behind it, get worked up. The vision boards are great. They're a great tool. But unless you've got the emotion there, that's what's really going to drive you forward. Making sense? Sweet. Any questions on this one? Beautiful. So the goals. What equipment do you require? This is where we start to get a little bit technical here. What do you actually require to achieve your goals? What equipment do you need? You're going to need a coach. I'll tell you that now. That's probably one of the biggest investments that you can make, and probably the best investment you can make. What do you require with your nutrition? Do you have your plan? Do you need any software? With everything, it's 2020 when we're recording this video here. If you're watching this on record, everything is digital now. So our training plans, we upload, straight to the app. People have got access to that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can do that remotely, particularly with our online coaches, with our online one-on-ones. Do you need something like that? Or maybe, you're a little bit old school who just prefers pen and paper. Awesome. You'll still get the training app. You'll still, have everything updated regularly for you. But you might find it easier for you to print it out and have it stuck on the fridge. These sorts of things I want you to think about. What do you actually need? What works best for you? So in terms of equipment here, I just found this silly little photo here of, I say silly little photo, it's not silly. There's this ghetto home gym setup. Weight is weight. If we're looking at strength training or resistance training, and I'll go into a bit more depth later on here. Resistance training is just about applying a force through the muscle. So it's not necessarily about how much weight is on the bar. It's about how much force can go through the muscle. Okay. Weight is weight. I can have you feel or get a better result with a lighter weight by modifying the lever, meaning the limb that you're using, rather than having everything close. Like, I'll give you an example. They actually did this on The Biggest Loser years ago now. The goal was to hold a 1 kilo plate straight out in front of you. Okay. The further out you are, the more stress is being applied, in this case, downwards, obviously with gravity. Holding it against the body, you'll hold it there all day. As soon as you move it out here, that's when the stress arises. So there's a lot more stress through, in this case, the shoulder. Okay, so we can look at ways to increase the results and give you a better, more, what am I trying to say here? It's been a while since I've done one of these webinars. If you haven't noticed, there are ways to increase the weight without actually increasing the physical number that you're lifting. Okay, force through the desired muscle. So when it comes to the equipment, get inventive. It doesn't have to be super heavy. It could be milk jugs. It could be, what we're recommending now is those canvas shopping bags. You can just wrap a couple of, a bit of sand, throw that into the shopping bags, and there you go. You've got your dumbbells, throw it onto a broomstick, and you've got a barbell. There's tons of things that you can do. Get inventive with it. Okay, what equipment do you need to actually require your goal? Maybe it's not weights, maybe it's cardio. Okay, so you can't afford, I was actually pricing treadmills last night. The one I'm looking at starts at about $5,000. Okay, so obviously I can't go out and drop $5,000 on a treadmill, but hey, guess what? There's tons of roads out there. There's tons of walking tracks. You know, I am blessed that we are in a part of the state where we can get out and explore, you know, the beautiful nature that we've got here. So again, it's not necessarily about having the best equipment. It's about getting the result that you would achieve from the equipment. Coach, I said before, coaches are the biggest and best investment you can make. So what we can do as a coach, and you know, without trying to sell myself here, what we can do is create a plan for you based around what you've got. So you may have an idea as to what you want. We can say, okay, so you've got a lounge chair, a coffee table, and a broomstick. There's your home gym right there. There's tons we can do with that. So we can look at these things and get you towards your results a lot faster than, hey, saving up. I know home gym, like a basic home gym, is going to cost you probably about $1,500. You know, you don't have to save up weeks for you know, a basic power rack. Nutrition. What do you need for your nutrition? We use MyFitnessPal to track your nutrition. If you don't have MyFitnessPal, get onto it now. You don't have to buy it. There's a free version and there's a premium version which you pay for. For our purposes, I know a couple of my guys have got the premium one. You don't necessarily need the premium one for what you for generalized goals. If you don't have MyFitnessPal, let me know. I can send you a link, and we can sign you up there. It's all free. I don't get a toaster or anything for signing people up. It's just one of the best nutritional tracking tools that you can use. There are other options out there. I think Calorie King is another one that's quite good. But you know, there's tons out there. Again, you may find it easier to work off a pen and paper. I know there are people. I think what's it called? Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers had a good one. Actually did some marketing with no, it was Jenny Craig. Sorry, Jenny Craig had a good one. I did some marketing with Jenny Craig a few years ago, and they invited me down to check out their software and to check out what they did. And obviously, it's been updated now. I went down there and I wanted to really tear strips off them because I really didn't understand what they were doing and how they went about it. And credit where it's due, Jenny Craig's software, it's actually not too bad. You know, like I said, I'm not quite sure what it's like now, but it was a hell of a lot better than I was expecting. So there we go. I know they give out books and pamphlets and all that sort of stuff that you can refer back to. That was the point what I'm trying to make here. You may find it easy to come from a physical book or a physical diary to track your nutrition. Again, there's a lot more work involved with that. I know there's a generational gap there, but particularly, you know, hey, maybe 60, 70-year-old that you're not big on computers. Okay, I know for a fact I'm not the best at computers, as you saw earlier trying to set this thing up. So the physical references can play a huge role as well. Now your plan is, again, if you've got a coach, that plan's done for you. But if you're doing this by yourself, this can take time. I know my training plans take about an hour and a half, 2 hours to initially set up. You know, you've got to run through not just your training, not just your nutrition, but how are you going to structure that through the day? Okay, you wake up at, you know, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Awesome. You get up, go to the bathroom, flick the jug on. You'll get into that routine, and that's what this plan is. It's about building something around your current day-to-day role and work in all the stuff that you need to cover off with. So your training, that'll be probably 3% of your day, 3 to 4%, 45 minutes to an hour. That's all you really need. Plus meal prepping, plus anything like that. Meal prepping is a piece of cake once you get the knack of it. Basically throw everything in the one pot and forget about it. Do up some bulk meals, get your Chinese containers, get about 3 or 4 uses out of them before they get a bit iffy and have to throw them out. You know, it's basing everything around what you're currently doing, what you currently should not be doing, and how we can basically flip everything to benefit you. Cool. Let's dive into nutrition a bit more. So to understand your nutrition, this is where we get really technical with it. So your macronutrients, we talk a lot about macros. I'm not going to go into various diet types, low carb, keto, Atkins. You know, some of the extreme cases out there are the dirt diet or the urine diet. There's some gross options out there. What I want you to look at with your nutrition, and this is why tracking is so important, are your macronutrients and your micronutrients. So micronutrients, the little ones, vitamins, minerals, that sort of stuff. Okay, so you need to be ingesting enough of them to really fuel the body and have your body working for you. That's the big goal with your nutrition, is to win over the body so that it's doing the work for you. You're not trying to fight it the whole time. Okay, macronutrients, the bigger ones, that's what these are: proteins, carbohydrates, lipids or fats, and well, there's water in this graph. The other one is alcohol. I'm not going to get into alcohol. The body has no use for it. That's why they use it, to kill germs. The body simply can't utilize alcohol as an energy source, so it has to pass it before it can use anything here. So these ones here, proteins, carbohydrates, well, depending on the carbohydrates, proteins are 4 calories per gram. When I say gram, I'm not talking physical gram. I'm talking, actually, I'm talking physical gram. 200 grams of steak does not equate to 200 grams of protein. There's obviously the intramuscular fats in between here. You've got, well, in the case of steak, there's very little carbohydrate. Like, I'm talking less than 0.1 of a gram, depending on how much you have. So it's not just meat is protein, bread is carbs, you know, butter is fat. It's not that clear cut. Most food sources will have a combination of these, hence the tracking. Okay, roughly 4 calories per gram. Good question. That's Dave. Just got a question come through from. I've just seen a name. One of our regulars. I'm just gonna say Arthur. 200 grams of meat, is that cooked or uncooked? And that's a really good one. Weigh it uncooked. So that way, let's use 200 grams of steak as the example. You can fry steak, you can grill steak, you can bake it for roasts, you can stew it. All of these different cooking methods will end up with a different gross weight. So your net weight is raw, so that's what I would use, the net weight, the raw weight, and then whatever you're left with, it will shrink down because there's obviously a lot of water stored in the muscle. So as that comes off, that will obviously your physical weight of the steak will decrease. So when I'm talking tracking nutrition, it's always raw steak, raw pasta if you're having pasta, or rices. Probably the easiest way. That way it's nice and consistent across the board. I did the little experiment the other day with some chips. I made my own homemade chips in the air fryer, so there's no oils used. 500 grams of raw chips, raw potato, in the air fryer. Once they were cooked, they come down to I think it was about 240 grams. So they lost half their weight. So it can be quite impressive, the amount of weight that will come off those. Carbs, depending on the carbs, they're either 4 or 5 calories per gram, and the fats 9 calories per gram. So that's why these things are usually, they've been blamed for the weight gain over previous years. Currently, we're looking at sugars, but fats went through that stage where they were the bad guy, when in fact it wasn't the fats that were doing it. It was just that you were in a calorie surplus, which is our next topic here, our targets. So what you need to do, the body will require so many calories, and those calories are broken down into proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. The body requires so many per day. General rule of thumb, we say 2,000 calories for a male, about 1,500 for a female. It's not quite that clear cut. You need to hit those targets every day. Proteins will help increase the strength and the muscle size. Carbohydrates are your initial energy source, and then the fats are going to help with hormone balances, transporting nutrients around the body, etc. And I've thrown this one in here: when to eat X, Y, Z. Look, depending on when you're doing your training. So if you're having like a really big training session in the morning, I'll use myself as an example. I usually train first thing in the morning. What you want to do here, and this will vary depending on if you are sticking to a diet, keto, low carb, whatever it may be, carnivore. This will vary depending on that. When I like to use carbohydrates as a fuel source first of all. So my last meal of the day before is generally higher carbohydrate. That way it gives it a chance to get into the body and digest. That way I've got the energy sources there to use for the following workout. So that's the basics of it. Proteins and fats, you pretty much break up evenly among the day. The fats, if you're finding yourself getting hungry, the 3:30 munchies are always a good example. If you're finding yourself getting hungry around that, say 3:30 mark, generally have a higher fat meal before that. So fats will actually slow the digestive rate, have you feeling stronger for longer. Sounds cool? Awesome. Next one along, input versus output. This is the big one here. I did want to show one of our screenshots from our coaching software. Never, actually, to be honest, I never got around to taking a screenshot and cropping it down and doing all that. So basically, you're going to have to use your imagination here. Calories in versus calories out. Now, I'm going to use the example of losing weight, as 80% of the population, that's their goal. Obviously, if you're one of these people that need to gain weight, the reverse is true. So calorie deficit. So you need to expend running or throughout the day, exercise day to day. You need to expend more than you're taking in. Okay. As a general rule, we work off about 20 to 25%. Okay, so if you're spending 3,000 calories, here's my math, let's do 4,000 calories. If you're spending 4,000, okay, you could generally use about 3,000 calories as an input. All right. Obviously, that's the extreme because my maths is pretty terrible this morning. Okay, and those calories, again, it comes back to where are you getting them from? How much there? Again, it's usually about that 20 to 25 is quite a severe drop. It can be done a lot less. If you're working with a coach, we work with a what we call a refeed day. So if you're sitting on super low calories, and this is what we've been working with lately, if you're sitting on super low calories, what happens is you plateau, okay? So you're not losing weight anymore. You're still in a calorie deficit, but you're just not dropping the weight. So we have our refeed days. So that's generally 2 days back to back where we spike our carbohydrates. And again, this is it's all measured. And then those two high calorie days will help promote that hormone balance again, which obviously in turn promotes more weight loss. So you can stay at higher calories for longer and still dropping the weight. Okay. Again, it's by how much it's going to vary depending on person to person. So there's no set number. If that's what you're hanging out for, there's no set number that I can give you here. Let's get on to the fun stuff, the training. We're going to build the plan. So how many designated training sessions are you able to commit to per week? Now, this has to be real. Like, there's no point saying, oh, I can commit to 5 days a week, when in reality, all you can do is 3. Okay, how many designated training sessions can you do? From there, that's when you have to cover all your body parts. So let's say what are they, training sessions? 3 training sessions each week, bear with me. Covering all body parts. So for a 3-day split, generally it's pull, push, legs. They're your 3 days. Okay, it can be broken up again for a 4-day split. We'll break up our legs into anterior and posterior. Are you covering everything in those sessions? Let's, for argument's sake, say we are. Next one along, is it safe? So if you're, and I had this conversation this morning actually, one of my girls is dealing with a lot of back pain. Right, so from that, I'm obviously not going to get her to do deadlifts. Okay, we're going to build up to deadlifts, don't get me wrong, but we need to look at the back pain and the source of the back pain. Generally speaking, it will come from the position of the pelvis and the low back. So flick back through our YouTube channel. I think there's a video there about dealing with back pain. It's quite interesting actually, about sitting everything right. We correct our imbalances. We correct any sort of pain or dangers that we may have. It's just like arriving to the scene of an accident. You know, you always assess the dangers first up, and then you can cover everything else. And then your output targets. So how many calories are you spending through the session? Okay, now, if you're tracking your calorie output, whether it's a Fitbit, Apple Watch, Garmin, there's tons of brands out there, whatever you're tracking there, that's all well and good, but your output target doesn't stop at your training session. Okay, that's throughout the day. Okay, let's jump on. I'm just aware of the time here. Training types. This is the fun stuff. Strength or resistance. We touched on that earlier on. Training. So that's going to be. It's generally associated with weight training. Again, you don't necessarily have to have weights. You can see in the background all the kettlebells and dumbbells and everything behind me. You don't necessarily have to have them. It can be body weight. Can be considered strength or resistant. It depends from person to person. I mean, if you're 150 kilos, obviously your body weight squat is the same as, you know, a 60 kilos person squatting 100K, 90K. There's the example of my maths. So is that making sense? Body weight can be considered strength or resistance. So this is designed to help build the muscle, help build the strength, couple that with your correct nutrition, and that's when you can start to really develop the muscles and keep things nice and safe. Cardio, obviously that's a no-brainer, that one. Your cardiovascular fitness, the heart and lung health, the circulatory systems. Everybody needs cardio. I hate to say it because it bores me to tears, but like I said earlier, you know, we're in a great part of the world here where we can go and see, you know, all the walking tracks and not necessarily at the moment with COVID, but you know, so be it. It's something that we have to do. Yeah, actually, I won't get into that one. Mobility and flexibility generally get combined together. I personally like to separate them. Flexibility is the easy one because everyone knows flexibility, stretching the muscles. The longer the range of motion you can take with your flexible muscles, the better the results will be. I'm referring to strength and resistance training. So if your bicep curl is, you can see that, if your bicep curl is that, that may be your range of motion. Cool. But if your bicep curl is that, you'll get a much better result throughout the bicep than the first option. So working with your flexibility and your mobility. Mobility is the joints. So a lot of people will have restrictions through joints, particularly hips. And there are ways to loosen. I hate using the term loosen up the joints, but that's generally what most people understand. To loosen up the joints, there are ways to do that. Again, it will help increase your range of motion, giving you a better result long term. Okay, it's just about that snowball effect. So the first few weeks, you'll really may not necessarily see too much improvement in terms of range of motion, but over the long term, it can be quite significant. Off days, this is the big thing here that we can look at here. Off days, there's no such thing as an off day or a rest day. We're always on. Okay, the off days. Do you have lower calories on an off day? In a technical sense, yes. However, if you've planned it correctly, you can have, with the exception of those high cal days, you can have the same number of calories every day, whether you're training or not. Okay, so it's about your weekly average. So as we touched on earlier with this one, fats 9 calories per gram. You burn 9,000 calories. It's the equivalent of kilo of fat. It's not that straight. That's not that clear cut. So just because you burn 9,000 calories doesn't mean you're burning, a kilo of fat. It's not like that. But that's the example I'm going to give you. You've dropped your calories down over the course of a week. Let's say you're 1,000 calories in deficit each day. There's your 7,000 calories. It should be about, stab in the dark, half a kilo of body fat. There's obviously other things being burnt as well, the sugars, hopefully not proteins, but everything else in the body obviously gets burnt. Sweat is obviously evaporating from the body as well. Hence why we're dropping weight. In a technical sense, you can have lower calories on an off day. Personally, I find it way too much work to calculate everything out. It's about keeping things simple. And what activity do you do on your off days? Still, again, output versus input. You still need to be active. You may not necessarily have a set training plan for that day, but still stay active, still get the steps up, still, hey, maybe you got a bit of a sweat on house cleaning, cleaning the house. Awesome. So yeah, there's no such thing as an official off day where you do nothing, but obviously calories need to be dead on and still get out, go and see the beautiful part of the world where you're living. Look, to wrap things up, I know we've gone over here. We've gone way over. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. To wrap things up, I love this quote in the background here. Commitment. You're either in or you're out. There's no such thing as life in between. Commit to it or don't. Okay. If you're not going to commit to it, don't come to me and say, Jason, I'm not losing weight. I'm doing everything. You're kidding yourself. Okay, you're either 100% committed or you're not. It's no such thing as, 70% nutrition, 30% training. It's 100% everything. Hit your training sessions every day. Every day they're registered, they're scheduled. Nutrition, 100% every day. Okay, general activity, 100% every day. You do not get the results by half-assing it. Okay, that's why there's no days off. So the body doesn't take a day off. So why should our mind? Okay, input versus output. Again, just going to recap on that one. You need to be expending more for weight loss. You need to be spending more than you're taking in. Okay, so it is that combination of nutrition, training. Recovery is something we haven't really touched on today, but it does play a huge role in everything, and your performance as well. Guys, are there any questions at all? Anything that I've missed? I know this was quite a big one. I don't usually do things this big for the webinars. Any questions, feel free to throw up in the chat now. No, we're sweet. Obviously, reach out. That's what I'm here for. I've got just checking our Facebook Live there. There's no questions over there either. Awesome. Guys, thank you again for coming and hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate you taking the time. Do apologize that we've gone well and truly over. But again, that's what I'm here for. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Don't know where I'm going here. Yeah, feel free to reach out just between two things, and I will do my best to answer anything. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget to jump onto our Facebook page and YouTube channel. There's tons of stuff on YouTube in particular. And again, if you want access to our VIP group, feel free to shoot me a message and we'll load you in. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Have an amazing Friday or whatever day it is where you happen to watch this video. And we'll chat to you guys again soon.